nhớ rằng nếu nào cũng đã bị ít từ mình dòng mong và thả cho nên cho hơn lửa or ít từ registered behavior technician là hùa RBT là cụ tàu thiên tất cả các từ tham mộ mỗi khó autism diagnosis tất cả từ mình nhớ là cái để cho nên you recommend speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, thiết ABA. ABA therapy do applied behavior analysis. Thực sự thơ có một ABA therapy kia có dùng gene đó có từ BCBA là từ hùa Board Certified Behavior Analyst. Nếu dùng cho các từ mình nhỏ xí như kinh bộ lý cả nếu họ dùng ní ba các từ gì theo họ do có ổn định thiết gì có họ xả các bế ba các từ mình nhỏ chân chế các từ gì theo là các chính nông tàu. Kể từ cả những chỗ các tụi mình nhỏ hay tiền nếu mà bình sinh bảo lý cả nếu mà create hall treatment plan thiết theo có hay tiền nếu có recommendation cho các tụi mình nhỏตัว therapy 要这种的狗找不就什么到一位头个叫các tụi mình nhỏ ตัว ABA 干嘛邻居个ตัว RBT tụi nó như therapist cái dùng G every day thầu cái drop you off theo sự có một tòa nữa là yêu cái có hai tiền nó nào như cân bờ đi nó or nó nào như ba cỡ tên nhà làm gì theo cô chơi đi sợ là lắm lần cô theo từ điện thoại Linda và ít thả chân đi cho hơn lử ở ít thứ RBT đó cho mình nhỏ mà autism. Hello! On today's episode, I'm going to be doing a career profile for professionals who serve the autism community. And to start us off with this, I have as my guest today, Linda Vang Lor. She is an RBT, which is a registered behavior technician that I ran into in one of the groups that I co-founded. And Linda just brings so much passion and insight to the field. And I was interested in kind of learning also how she got here, what things she has learned. And also, we were just talking about where she's planning to go from here. So, welcome to the podcast, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. When I met you, I think it was kind of like your passion and your excitement about RBT and really also about bringing ABA or just more awareness of autism to the Hmong community that I was like, oh, I want to talk to her. So thank you so much for making time for me today.
No, thank you for asking and making time for me. Because I know you're a busy person yourself. You're running so many things. You're a BCBA and working everything.
And, really this whole podcast came about because I was in a hybrid role. And that meant like I was home for 3 weeks and then I was on site for a week. And I was like, so I was like, I gotta do something, So
Yeah.
I just started the podcast, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but it was just like right time. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with the questions and we'll go from there. Okay. So Linda, tell me, what is your current role in your clinic and how many years have you been working in the field of ABA?
So, like you said, I am an RBT, a registered behavior technician. I've been doing this field work for 2 years now, just hit my 2-year mark back in July. So it's been 2 years and a few months, but I feel like I've been doing this forever. So, I mean, I really enjoy it. So,
Yeah, and so for those of you that are not familiar with the titles, so an RBT is like your entry level position. So you only need like a high school degree to fulfill that role, and also you would have to do like a 40-hour module and pass a certification with the BACB. So it's just really great stepping stone, right, to become either a BCABA or BCBA. And Linda may be thinking about that. We'll talk more about that later. And do you mind to tell me where you're located, Linda?
oh yes, sorry. I am actually in Charlotte, North Carolina, but so we have the Charlotte region and the Hickory region with the company that I'm with. So, yeah.
20 years ago, it was a long time ago, probably 30 years ago. I was living in North Carolina, and I see all of the job postings now for like BCBAs or RBT,
Mhm.
ABA related in North Carolina. I'm like, wow, it is booming. And I'm wondering, like,
Yeah.
do I want to move back there? You know, like these jobs are not available like 20
Yeah.
years ago, even 10 years ago. So it's really great to see that there's like so many more
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah,
More
and
people.
so many different companies too, because even with my company, like, when I was searching the job back then, I was like, "Okay, there's, like, ABS Kids, or ABA Kids, and then there's ALP, which is what I work in." But now there's, like, multiple different ones around. I'm just like, "Dang, there's so many, like,
No,
different companies now
a lot
too for ABA."
Yeah, so many
Mhm.
options, which and like I said, it's good for the professionals and also good for the kiddos, right? Because I mean, we just wait lists are so heartbreaking when you hear about wait lists for
Right.
years, right? And the parents like, oh, we're number 50 something. You're going, oh my gosh, we have kids in service for like 3, 4 years tops. How are they ever
Mhm.
going to get in? So the more agencies, the better. And and that sometimes lends to people saying, oh, well, there's a lot of competition. And I'm like, no, 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 this is not
Yeah.
competition. We are here to help. So don't ever feel like, if you
Mhm.
open up a clinic, you're my competitor. No, we're not. We're all here to help get these people off the wait list.
Mhm.
That's really great to hear. So, Linda, what brought you to this field working with individuals living with autism?
So, I've always known that I wanted to work with kids because I love kids growing up. I'm the oldest girl in the family, so I've always babysat, like, everybody's kid. I'm always the babysitter. So,
Yeah,
I always loved working with kids, and I knew I wanted to work with kids. But then I didn't really know, like, I didn't wanna become a teacher either, so I was like, I don't know, like, seems like teacher's the only job that you could work with kids in, growing up, that's what I thought.
right.
But then, I actually have a sister that, was born with Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, like, we were still young, like, my parents obviously being Hmong, like, they didn't know that the services that were given to them was gonna help her. And,
Mm-hmm.
like, Hmong parents, when they are told that their child has Down syndrome or has, like, a certain disability or is gonna be born like that, then, like, they're in denial until they're born, right? But
Right.
then I realized that my mom then didn't give her her services that she need. So growing up, like, taking care of her, like, I there was challenges, obviously, because we were also, like, not educated. So then I was like, "Okay, now that I have my bachelor's, maybe I should look into all this, like, childcare and, like, working with family who has kids on the spectrum, so then you can also be an advocate for the kids, also for the parents. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, I wanted to, like, it's still, like, a stigma in, like, I mean, not just the Hmong community, but, like, society overall,
Right.
so I was like, "I think it needs to be more, like, known in the Hmong community, especially parents like our parents that are older generation, but still
Mhm.
even new parents, it's still
Yeah.
something that, like, they don't still understand themselves."
Right.
So, yeah, it's because of my sister.
Yeah. And so, if you don't mind me asking a little bit more about your sister, as we know, like with Down syndrome, right? Like, it, if you are diagnosed with Down syndrome, there are physical markers, right? With autism, it's a little bit harder, right? And so,
Yes.
for our parents or any parents, or and especially our Hmong parents too, and like you said, the older generation, when it's not so apparent, when it's not the
Mhm,
physical markers are not there, it's harder to understand, right?
mhm,
It's like, but they
mhm.
look quote unquote normal, right? And
Yes,
so
yeah.
and it's how do you bypass that, having those conversations. So yeah, well, Linda, I'm really glad that it brought you to this field to
Mhm.
hopefully, take some of that those tools back to help your sister, your family.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
so that's great. And thank you too, for kind of being part of this conversation. And that's kind of why I started the podcast. It's great what we do with the group, but I feel like I need a central place where people can go and listen to the stories, right?
Mhm,
And hear
mhm.
conversations. And a big part of what I want to do is normalizing these conversations. Let's talk about
Yes.
them. It's okay to talk about
Mhm.
them. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. Don't feel like nobody will understand, or
Mhm.
nobody will listen. And so thank you so much for being part of that conversation with me.
No, thank you.
As an RBT, what is the best part of your workday?
One of the best parts of my day would be, like, just spending time with the my clients and, like, knowing that you're making a difference in their life, even though you
Yeah.
don't feel like you are, but you
Mhm.
really are, you truly are when you're showing up every single day to these, sessions. Not
Mhm.
just that, but you're making a difference, um, not for them, but their parents and their siblings as well, because their parents are really appreciative, but then again, it depends on the client and the family as well. But luckily, I've worked with, like, great families and, like, great clients. So, I enjoy my everyday with them. I even told, my client's parents the other day, what did they say? They said something about, how, because it was his little brother's birthday, and we had went to the trampoline park, and I was like, "Oh, like, thank you for letting me go with you guys." And I really appreciate it and stuff, and they're like, "No, we appreciate you, like, thank you for taking the time to go with us." But then I told them, I was like, "I enjoy my time with you guys, rather we go out in the community and do something fun or even just doing session at home. Like, I enjoy my time with you guys." They're like, "Oh, we love you, we love, like, the time we spend with you too." And I was like, "Oh, like, that just," it's just seeing, like, the progress that your client makes as well is what makes your day, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. If you were to think about your daily um, life as an RBT, what would you say is like a not so great part of your workday, if there are even any?
Um, I think I would say a not so great part of my day, I would say, is when, like, how every day with a client on the spectrum or with autism is never the same every day. It's
Uh huh.
always, and that's why I also love this job because every day is different with your clients. Like, even though
Hmm.
there's a routine, blah, blah, but every day is just a different day for them. So,
Hmm.
like, I think a not so great day would be, like, when my client, he's not very, like, engaging, because then I feel like, "Okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong." Or
Hmm.
maybe, like, he's mad at me or something, or, like,
Okay.
maybe he's just, like, having, like, a I don't feel like doing anything day. So
Right.
I do work with the kid that's nonverbal, and I work with the younger children's, not like the older ones. Like, we have older kids too, like,
Okay.
school age kids too, but the age that I'm working with right now is, like, the younger ones, so the ones that's under 6 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in every age group, like some people are like, I want to work with the little babies, right? Like
Mhm.
the early intervention kids because they're kids and it's fun. And some people are like, I want to work with teenagers, and I've been
Mhm.
fortunate enough to work with all of them. And so there's like pros and cons, right? Because then the little ones, you're like, well, we
Yeah.
can't play board games with them, but then the
Yeah.
teenagers, you can do stuff like, go do outings and have like really interesting conversations and find out like
Mhm.
where are they at. So tell me, what is the most rewarding part of working with individuals living with autism?
I think the most rewarding part is when you see the progress that they make, like,
Hmm.
from the very beginning. Like, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be, like, an overnight progress, but, like, especially when, like, new goals are introduced and then they, like, master it, or they make progress and you think that they're not gonna do it or they're not gonna be able to catch
Yeah.
on for, like, a little while, but, clients surprises you all the time. Like, an example, one of my clients right now, we're, like, potty training him.
Oh gosh.
So,
Yes.
the BCBA's goal is to hopefully, like, at least have him potty trained by the end of the year
Okay.
because he's turning 5 soon. So
Yeah.
then, so at the beginning, it was like, getting the whole, like, toiletty routine, having him go to the bathroom, and, like, doing all that, and at first, it was like he didn't want to go. Obviously, he doesn't wanna go to the bathroom.
Sure,
So
yeah.
then, just having him willingly, voluntarily, like, when you tell him or when the timer goes off and be like, "Hey, it's time to go potty." He's like, "Do,
Mhm.
do, do, do." Like, he's just going to the potty and doing everything by himself, and I'm just like, "Yay, like, you're doing it."
Yeah, you're
And
like,
now
"Who
we're at
is this child?"
right, and so now we're at the point where, like, he's at least voiding in the toilet once a day.
Mhm.
So, like, once a day when I'm there, and I'm just like, "Did you just pee-pee in the potty, like,
Yeah.
by yourself?"
Yes. I know, and, I think a lot of people, maybe parents or family members
Mhm,
of, individuals, if they do have never met, right, an individual with autism and understood the struggles that it goes through to do toilet training, and when we describe it, they're like, "Oh, hi, Gina. What does that mean?" Like,
mhm,
"What do you mean, "Gina"? And it's like, 'cause it's so easy, right, for them to have
yeah,
gone through. I think toilet training any human being is difficult,
yeah,
but like you said, like, when you teach it and in a day we break it down, right? Like, the first thing we do is
mhm,
just literally walking, going to the bathroom, that's a goal, right? That, like, you're taking
mhm,
that out whether or not they're going
yeah,
independently, and then, like, everything else we can prompt through, that's fine. And then once they
yeah,
get that, then we'll work on, okay, once he's in there, hands down, you know what I mean? And it's just, like,
mhm,
so broken down, and we're targeting everything at a time. And it does take a while because, like you said, you guys' goal is, the end of the year. That's 4 more months, right? And so,
mhm,
like, a lot of parents don't have that kind of patience for, like, 4 more
mhm,
months. And also every kiddo is individualized too, right? We might have the same
mhm,
protocol, but, like, one kiddo gets it just like that, and one kid can take
mhm,
months, right? So I think I always find that as part of the challenge and part of for me, I'm such a competitive person. I'm like, challenge accepted. Let's do this, Like, I know
right,
it's hard,
right,
but let's do this. We're gonna do this every day. And sometimes when
mhm,
I go to RBT, I'd be like, oh no, we're potty training. That's me. I'm just sitting in the bathroom all day,
yeah,
and
no, and I don't feel like that because, like, I'm just like, "Well," I'm like you, "We're gonna get this."
Mhm.
Nope. You're gonna get this before the end of the year. You're gonna do this before, like, you turn 5. And his parents are like, "Linda, you're being too hopeful." And I was like, "No, like, I know he can do it." And, like,
Yeah.
his parents' goal for him is, like, at least by next year that he's potty trained
Oh,
by himself, right? So I'm just
yeah.
like, "No, nope, he's gonna get it. Mhm. We're gonna
Yeah.
do it. We're gonna do it."
Yeah, no, I love that, Linda. And for me, I always share this story of how I had a kiddo who he had a dual diagnosis of autism and CP. And so then with
Mhm,
CP, that's a lot of the physical things, right, that he could
mhm,
not do because his body was just not regulated enough to do it. And one of those things, the goal that his parents were kind of like, those parents were like, they were probably like, realistic about it. They were like, I don't
mhm,
know. We just don't know if he's ever gonna sip out of a straw. And we're really concerned because we don't want him to choke, but we also don't know. And I was like, no, I got it. We're going to do this. We're going to work on it
mhm,
every single day. So we went in there and, worked on straw. And it was messy and it was a lot of sweat and
mhm,
tears and blood to be like, oh, we're going to get this. And we did, right? Within like weeks, if not months. And it was so for me, it was so exhilarating when the parents were like, "We just never thought he'd learn how to do that." I'm like, "No, we got it."
mhm,
We did it. So it's a great
mhm.
feeling, and so
Yeah.
I miss that, Linda. I miss being a line staff and being like right there
Mhm.
every day, and so then if people know that you're in the field of ABA, do they ever ask you for your opinion on whether or not you think their child has autism? You know what I mean? Like, give up on that. Oh,
Yeah.
Linda, oh, let me know more autism. Do they ask you sometimes, or maybe your
Um,
friends, or maybe other people? Because again, like in the Hmong community, we don't even talk about autism, right? Like,
mhm. So when there is like, if I know of a person that has a kid with autism or like, like a mental health or a development delay, I would actually I like it's always so like boom, like the right timing too, because then they conversate with somebody about it,
Mhm,
about
mhm.
their concerns with their kids. And I'll be
Right.
like, "Hey, like I work
Uh-huh.
in ABA and I don't know if you guys know what that is, but then I go on and tell them about like my field of work. So then
Okay.
they will ask me questions about it, but like I've learned obviously I'm not just going to give them like my opinion because then I'll be like I really don't know. So I'll be
Mhm,
like, "This is my company, you can reach out to them
mhm.
and they can answer these questions for you," you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Um, but when it comes to, like, family, and they know that I do work in the field, they would ask me and they would be like, "Hey, what do you think my child has this?" And I'll be like, "I'm gonna be honest, I don't know because I'm not, like, licensed to figure out what
Right.
is wrong with your child." And it's
Right.
so funny because it's just not family. It's like when I work with, a kid and they're, like, in a daycare or they're in a school setting, the
Mhm,
teachers or the directors will come up to me and be like, "Hey, we have a kid that's like this, like, do you think he has this, and do you think he needs this?" And I'll be like, "Um, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know."
yeah.
Like, I'm not licensed or professional to, like, evaluate this child for you guys, but I have resources that I can give you to reach out to those professionals, you know? But then I do, like, when it does comes to, like, interfamily or intermediate family and I know, I'll be like, "It doesn't hurt to go get an eval with the pediatrician." So I would say go ahead and, talk to your pediatrician about it and tell them your concerns and they can go from there and they can help you find your specialist that you need.
Perfect answer. Look at you.
Yeah.
If you were to share a message with any Hmong parents, and so having been in a field and having a sister with Down syndrome and kind of living that experience of, seeking services or even knowing what services are available to seek, right? Because that's part of
Mhm,
the challenge is knowing that what is available. Well, what do we need? Who can fulfill it? And
mhm,
not realizing that almost everything that you might need there is some kind of funder out there that can provide it. You don't have
mhm.
it out of your pocket, but how would you know that if nobody told you, right?
Right.
So what is a message that you share with Hmong parents whose child is diagnosed with autism or any other developmental disability?
I honestly thought about this question really hard
Yeah.
because it's like, I think you mentioned it before in some of your lives that we were doing, like, there's not a specific word that we can really say in Hmong or translate autism into Hmong, so it's very hard to, like, watch what you say and, like, to not offend them, But I think one message would be like and obviously having a sister and growing up with, like, all the resources that were given to my sister and my parents just denied it all. Like, take advantage of your resources. Take
Mhm.
advantage of the resources, and you just gotta think that it's not for you. It's mainly for your child, but it's also actually is for you too, because you're also gonna learn through the process of these services how to communicate with your child and, like, how to, help them with certain things and knowing how to help your child to, reach their potential. So if you're using all these resources that are given to you, just take advantage of it. And it doesn't hurt to ask questions along the way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a people, we don't want to feel like we are bothering somebody else by asking for something, you know?
Mhm.
We'd rather just be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't wanna bother anybody, so, go yourself a tall," right? And also
Mhm.
feeling like, don't wanna feel entitled to stuff, but it's like, no, you absolutely should ask.
Mhm.
I think there are a lot of parents who don't know that they can get, like, pull-ups for their kids for as long as they need it for free, you know?
Mhm.
And then they're going, "Oh, well, we are struggling financially because we have been using our budget for this thing. We didn't know that they could have been provided all these years." And so you go, "Well, we can't go back and retroactively do anything about that, but let's educate others along the way."
Mhm.
And then also and a message that I really try to, share in our group too is, like, anything you want, anything. Like, you want, Chewies? Somebody can pay for that. You don't have to pay for that out of your pocket. Don't buy from Amazon. Get get
Mhm.
like medical grade, chewies. And the pull-ups, and then we talk about like, harnesses for cars. I put a lot of information out there about angel scent because people don't
Mhm.
realize if your child elopes from you, in which elopes mean like yeah from you, right?
Mhm.
And that could
Yeah.
be that's a safety issue. You can't just always chase after your child. At some point, your child's going to grow and get bigger and older and taller and
Mhm.
stronger. They're going to outrun you. So there are all these things designed to help you, but that costs money. Well, who was going to pay for that? You, because once you buy the device, you have to pay for the monthly subscription. No, there are people out there who will pay for this. It takes a little bit of work, and not only that, it takes you knowing that and asking for that. Right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the way that the world works is people are always trying to make money from you, and so you
Yep.
got to find not the loophole, but find what is like available for you to take advantage of these products. So yeah, that is a great message because, like you said, sometimes you don't know what's available until you do. But you said that there were a lot of services or things denied to your sister and to your parents as she was growing up.
No, my parents denied them.
Okay, like it
Yeah,
was offered, but
because
they were like, "Oh, we don't need it," or "We don't want it."
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like we were all just me and my siblings were all so young at that time, and, this is the first one in the family that is diagnosed with something, and we don't know, like, how to also advocate and help her. So, I feel like when they were offered those services and, parents, they work every single day, it's like they don't have the time for it. So
Okay.
then not knowing that back then, like and I tell my mom to this day, like, now I'm in this field, I'm just like, "Mom, like, she should have had gotten this done, like, she
Mhm.
could have been talking by now." So, like, my sister, she's, like, nonverbal.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, like, she's in good therapy now, but, I'm just like, "Mom, she coulda have been in this and that, and, like, she could have gotten help, like, she could have been more independent, blah, blah, blah," and all that stuff, and I would have to advocate for my sister not all the time, but I try to, and I would have to remind my other little sisters and my parents that, you guys have to be patient with her.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like, she's gonna and she's a teenager. So
Mhm.
so it's like teenager plus that, it's just gonna, like, frustrate her even more and, like, you guys are just gonna have to be patient with her because, even though they're nonverbal, they still have feelings. They're still a human at the end of the day, you know? So I always have to remind my family that, like, you guys just need to be patient and,
Mhm.
like, try to understand and see what she really wants because you guys are hurting her feelings too, like, you guys wouldn't like that if somebody did
Oh,
that to you. So I
right.
would just have to remind my family all the time. I'm just like, "You guys got to be patient with her."
Mhm. So that is a great segue to my last question for you, Linda. How do you think we can continue to raise awareness and promote acceptance of an autism diagnosis in the Hmong community?
I still feel like I said earlier, I feel like it's still, like, a field where, like, everybody is still kind of, like, iffy on. So, like, I feel like just talking more about it or sharing like what we're doing now, just talking about it, normalizing it, sharing it, and, like, not being, like, obviously, when you're a parent and you have a kid like that, it's like you kinda samoa because
Okay.
you're like, "They're gonna behave this way, they're gonna behave that way when you go out in public." So
Mhm.
it's like just normalizing it and, like, letting people know that, like, you know, "My child's like this, like, blah, blah, blah," and all that stuff. Or, like, I mean, obviously, parents are not obligated to tell them, but, like, if you are trying to, like, normalize it and spread awareness for yourself and advocate for your own child, then, like, it's like, do it because you rather have people understand than just assume that, like, "Oh, "你错不or 你是梦露," you know?
Mhm.
So it's like and don't feel like you're alone because you're not. Because there's other families that's out there too that are dealing with it or, like, it may be worse for them, or they
Mhm.
don't have the resources, they don't know the resources, so just normalizing it and talking more about it and, like, reaching out to people, like how you have that page and I so appreciate you having that page because then I'm just like, whoa, like there's so many people. Like I don't even have a child with like, that's on the spectrum or like with the development delay, but then working in the field, it's like you feel them, like you know who they can reach out to, especially like when they're in like your state or they're in your region, you're like, hey, like I work for this company, like reach out to them. Maybe you can get help through them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, part of my role as a BCA is doing that parent training, right? So then
mhm,
it's my role to teach my RBTs, coach them, supervise them, and then also do the same with the parents. So if they've mastered a goal, I'm gonna teach the parents, and then it's the parents' job to
mhm,
then do that at home. And also, like you said, kind of as they go out into their community and into their, with their families, like getting other people on board, right? So let's say the
mhm,
having issues with communicating that he just wants attention, but I teach the parent can then coach, like their friends and everyone's on board, right? So having
mhm,
conversations like, hey, so we're working on this in therapy and we're working on it. We'd love for you to help us, and then it becomes kind of
mhm,
you're normalizing that, right? We're all here to help
mhm,
them to succeed. And then, not only that, but for our Hmong parents too, knowing that there are others out there to support them, I think that's really great. And kind of to piggyback on what you said too, the field of ABA and then the diagnosis of autism, in the Hmong community, it's all over. It's still in its
mhm,
infancy, really, if we think about it
mhm.
in regards to other diagnoses. Like it's still
Yep.
very early. We're still a lot of research is still being done, and that's great, but it's
Mhm,
still not well understood in even our like Caucasian counterparts, right? Because we talk about, I
mhm,
see within Hmong community a lot of families who are like, oh, we just don't go, right? We hear this in our groups, like we just don't go
mhm.
because it's too hard, so we just stay home.
Yeah,
And then, and I want you guys to understand that that's not just a Hmong thing; it's all parents of
exact
kiddos with autism thing,
yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
I have
Mhm,
clients whose parents are like, we go to the store, he throws a fit, we leave. I'm like, well, what are you gonna do? Never go to the store? No, let me help you. Let's talk about different
right.
strategies. Let me put this on a little
Mhm,
visual schedule for you, right? Let's do something.
mhm,
Work through this.
mhm.
You know?
Right.
So understanding that, it's not just a Hmong thing, it's not just a whatever thing, it's a parenting thing, all of us, and that you're
Mhm.
not alone. And yeah, so thank you so much for just having this conversation with me and keep being an amazing RBT. I'm so excited to see where you go from here.
Thank
Oh, wait, wait,
you.
tell me again, are you planning to pursue something? No, you're pursuing something now. And you were telling me, and then I was like, oh, guess what? We're not recording. So
Oh, oh,
please tell
oh.
me.
Yeah, so I am actually in, a teaching certification program now to, be licensed in teaching, but I really don't wanna teach, because I was still trying to figure out, like, what I wanted to.
BCBA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. So, like, being in the field, like, I feel like that's what I wanna do now. So,
Yeah.
I've been leaning towards becoming a BCBA
Mhm.
myself.
Yeah.
I'm just, think, waiting until I'm done with this program because I'm not about to back out on this program 'cause I'm almost done. I'm graduating next year. I'll be done with this program next year. So, I think once I'm done with that, I will start looking to becoming a BCBA. And I like living here in North Carolina, I feel like there's not a lot of us in the ABA, honestly, here. I think
Mhm.
there's only one in my company, another BT that I met her through our Teams chat, and I was like, "Oh, her name is Mai. She is definitely Hmong." So, like, I personally messaged her after my pod meeting. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Hmong. Like, you're the first Hmong BT, like, other BT in the area because or in our company because it's just been me." And then my
Mhm.
BCBA for the Hickory region, she's all like, "Oh my gosh, Linda, like, I wish you were in my region because I just got a Hmong family." And I'm just like, "Put me on that
Oh.
case." Like, I wanna be there. I would drive that 45 minutes to wherever they're at, okay? Like, put me
Oh.
on that case.
Every time I see another Hmong,
Yes.
a professional, a Hmong RBT or BCBA or BCABA, whatever, I'm always like, "Oh, you're Hmong, yeah." And I actually met one here too recently, and it's so funny, right? When you meet
Mhm,
someone, you're like, "I'm Hmong too. What are you doing here?"
mhm,
She is also an RBT, about to become an RBCBA soon. So I was like, "Girl, come
mhm.
find me." I was like, "Come find me on social media." I was like, "Come join my
Yeah.
group. We need to find everybody and get us all together so we can kind
Mhm,
of." there and just, make sure that if anybody has questions, we can answer them because it still breaks my
Right.
heart when I hear families say things like, we didn't know, or we had no idea that this,
Mhm.
we had no idea that your
Yeah.
dog, and we didn't know there was help. And I'm like, no, there is help, and
Mhm.
again, just put that information out there.
But
Yeah.
I like, honestly, I wish more Hmong family knew about ABA because it is
Mhm.
very beneficial. And like I keep saying that like we are like I think you made a post about this in the Otao page where oh no, it must have been a parent. They're like, "Well, is ABA worth it or whatever?" And then they were
Mhm.
talking about like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to take them out of school and all that stuff? And I think
Right.
I
Yeah.
commented like,
Mhm.
ABA is one of the longer therapies that you would have because speech therapy OT, they're a little shorter than ABA, but ABA is one of the longer therapies. So like it is really long, but it's very beneficial.
Well, again,
So,
I wanted to dive into ABA eventually. I want to start kind of tread a little lightly here and make sure that we introduce all the different components before we jump into ABA. But it definitely is an investment in your time, right? Like,
mhm,
it's not one of those therapies where you're like, okay, I take my kid there and great. No, you as a parent,
mhm,
you need to be as involved, if not
mhm.
more, right? Thank you so much, Linda. It was great chatting
Thank
with
you.